Today we discuss first, second and third week changes that occur in the developing embryo. First we go through first and second week changes during the development of the embryo. What is the chronology of embryo? So chronology means the different changes that occur in the during the development of the embryo. So different time periods of the embryo. First we call it as the germinal period. So germinal period is the one where we call first to third week changes. So first to third week changes are called the germinal period. Embryonic period is the one so that starts from fourth week, that is end of the first month, to 8 weeks. Fetal period from third month onwards we call it as the fetus. So total length of the development of the human embryo is 280 days or 40 weeks from last menstrual period. That is date of last menstrual period. Or we can calculate in another words 9 calendar months plus or minus 7 days, which covers 266 days or 38 weeks. But this gestational age, actual gestational age of the fetus will be 2 weeks less than the last menstrual period, because the fertilization occurs 2 weeks after the last menstrual period. That is why the total gestational age, actual gestational age of the fetus is 38 weeks, not the 40 weeks. But if we take from LMP, it is 40 weeks. What are all the changes that occur in during the first and second weeks of the development? So which we call it as the germinal period. So first week, so these are the changes that occur in the first week. So during the first week we see the cleavage division. So we all know that cleavage division means once the zygote is formed, the fertilization occurs. The one of the effect of fertilization is cleavage division, that is initiation of the cell division. The second is the different stages of the cleavage division. So what are all the different stages of cleavage division? So it will be dividing into 2 cell stage, 3 cell stage, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16 cell. So these we call them as the morula. And then from the morula, once morula is formed, then we see the formation of the blastocyst stage. So once the blastocyst stage is formed, this will be moving into the uterine cavity and it implants into the uterine wall. So these changes will occur during the first week of the development. And then during the second week of the development, once the blastocyst is implanted into the uterine wall, we see the formation of the bilaminar embryonic disc, which is composed of epiblast and hypoblast. So these are the changes. Once the blastocyst is formed, so it will be having an inner cell mass and an outer cell mass, and the inner cell mass will form the embryonic disc and the outer cell mass will form the trophoblast. So these are the changes that will occur in the second week of the intrauterine life. So these we will see in the during the second week changes. And along with that, we see the formation of the embryonic membranes during the second week, that is amniotic cavity, amnion, yolk sac, connecting stalk and the chorionic sac. So we will discuss all these in the subsequent slides. So during the first week, what all the changes that occur in the first week? It is the formation of the blastocyst by means of cleavage division. So here this is the fertilized ovum. Once the zygote is formed, it is dividing into 2 cell stage, and these are the scanning electron microscopy pictures. We can see the 2 cell and then 3 cell stage, 4 cell, and these individual cells are called the blastomeres. So we see that by 30 hours we see the cleavage division will be initiated and 2 blastomeres will be seen. By 40 to 50 hours we see 4 cell stage, and after that by 72 hours we see the 12 cell stage, and by 96 hours we see the 16 cell stage. So all these cells will be together by means of the compaction. So all these cells will be bound externally, covered by a membranous structure, that is the zona pellucida. By 4 to 5 weeks, we see the formation of the blastocyst. So what is blastocyst? So this blastocyst consists of the outer cell layer of cells, outer cell mass, and the inner layer of cells. This is called the inner cell mass, and fluid filled spaces appear within this, separating these, the outer and inner cell mass, and this fluid filled space is called the blastocyst cavity. Once the blastocyst cavity is formed, so it will keep on enlarging. And now we see this is almost about 108 cell stage. So here 8 to 10 cells will form the inner cell mass, and rest of the cells will form the outer cell mass. So this outer cell mass is also called the trophoblast. So here this inner cell mass is also called the embryo proper. So once we see this, the embryoblast, so here this embryo we now is having two ends. So this is embryonic pole of the developing embryo, and this is called the abembryonic pole. So embryonic pole and abembryonic pole. So this cavity within this blastocyst is called the blastocyst cavity. And this, once it reaches the uterine cavity, so this outer cell mass is very sticky. Once the zona pellucida is disrupted, so this outer cell mass will be exposed to the uterine endometrium, and these cells, once it gets attached to the uterine endometrium, these cells start proliferating. So these cells will form the trophoblast. So these cells are called the trophoblast cells, and slowly these trophoblast cells invade the uterine epithelium, and finally it will enter into the endometrium. And the fertilization, where it actually happens, it happens in the fertilization occurs in the ampulla of the uterine tube. So once the fertilization occurs in the uterine tube, and then these cells, the zygote will be moving from the 2 cell stage. So it will be keep on moving from 2 cell stage to 16 cell stage, morula, then blastocyst. Finally it reaches by 4.5 to 5 days, it will reach the uterine endometrium, uterine cavity. So by 6 days, that is almost 1 week, within 1 week it will be implanted. So these are the first week changes that occur during the development of the embryo.